Hello, hello, hello. My name is Jorb. My name is Jorb. My name is Jorb. I love gear. 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 And one last time, in 2022, hello, my name is Jorb, and I love gear. This is Gear in Review 2022. I'm going to look over my year in gear for this last year. In January, last year I was at 7,000 subs, and today we're rounding out 25,000. We're very close. And I'm really, really proud to be here. And I know in part it's because I was unemployed for like 7 or 8 months, and I could really focus on this. But most importantly, it doesn't happen without those 25,000 people willingly saying, yes, I want to see more from this kid. So thank you very much. Support is the only reason I am where I'm at, and I get to do what I do. So huge thanks to the subscribers and huge thanks to the patrons. I totally mean this. Like, one of the most surreal moments of this whole thing, the YouTubing thing, when the one time that I've pulled my money out of Patreon, I cashed out my Patreon once, and it was to help buy a new camera, the one I'm filming with right now, and my quality ceiling immediately went up, and I had this improvement to my workflow, and it was all covered by the generosity of people, for the most part, that I've never even met. I didn't have to sell a piece of gear. I didn't have to rely on a successful flip. Just people who like what I do, supporting me because they want to support me. It's super humbling. So again, thank you so much for that. If you're here at all, thank you. If you subscribe, thank you. If you're a patron, really, thank you. Anyway. Okay, what I wrote down is, let's steer away from the tears and point the ship right at some fucking gear. So I tried to prep for this in 2 ways. One, I watched everybody else's end of the year videos, I just love hearing what other people are up to. But I stepped through every video I did in the last year and tried to okay, what did I talk about? Just remember it. Is there anything I showed off that I'm going to keep showing off? Whatever. And I sat still right here and I looked around my room, which is very, very cluttered right now. And I tried to think of everything I was going to sell that was in the space. Because that's part of the framing for All My Friends Are Synths and their video is, here's everything I'm selling as we move into the new year. And I like that because it's clickable. I don't think I'm going to call it that. I think I'm just going to call it Gear in Review because it's not the focus anymore. Anyway, point is, I didn't like the pacing of that. I didn't like the pacing of, I'll step through all the videos and tell you something about each of them. And I didn't like the pacing of, here's all the things I'm selling, and that was it. But I kept some parts from each, and I let both of those things guide my idea. So the outline is based on cramming those two things together. And I'm going off script already. You guys know I'm going to go off script. One of the things that lives on from me stepping through all the videos is remembering some of the things I was really, really satisfied with. First, my favorite video overall was the Rhodes piano bass. Not because of anything I did, because of the story it ended up being for me, and I was just proud of the way that turned out, and I hope you guys enjoyed that if you saw it. But really, everything about it just turned out better than I expected it to be. I'm so happy with the way that video turned out in every aspect, and I think that's such a cool piece of gear. But anyway, going through the videos in the last year, what do I want to do more of? I want to do more repairs. Views are always worse, but I find the most cosmic satisfaction from doing that, from making things work again. And maybe it's not the full video on the repair, maybe it's just like the SP303. I got it broken to get one cheaper. I fixed it up, and that gives me a chance to review old stuff and hopefully make a little bit of money when I do sell it, when I'm done with it. That kind of makes old stuff, vintage stuff, a little closer to parity in terms of opportunity cost of making a video, when I'm potentially giving up the time and the work that I could spend on something new. You know what I mean? As far as keeping the channel going and growing and doing more and getting compensated for my time, doing vintage stuff way worse. But I like it so much and I want to talk about it, and it is where a lot of my fascination starts. I'm not going to stop showing vintage stuff off, so I'm just going to make it work for myself as best as I can. And the 303 was kind of an example of that. Here's something that I'm interested in, that other people are interested in enough to click on, and the repair makes it something that I can make a little bit of money on when I'm done with it. I want to do that more. In terms of full on, this is about a repair videos, I didn't do as many of those because I just didn't do as many of those projects this year, but one that is coming up, I've got an Octave Kitten that I've mostly finished, has some horrendous problems that I need to figure out still. But that's a repair that will then be a review or a demo, if you want to think of it like that. Same thing with my Poly 6. You guys have seen it a few times, and I recorded everything for the fix. I don't think I'll actually put up a video for the repair. I'll just mention it at the beginning. But I have a Poly 6 that I'll talk about. The D50 repair video went up, but the D50 has yet to be covered. That'll get covered. Should happen before the end of the year. And there's a chance my Juno 106 needs some work, so I'll probably get to that this year as well. I hope I get to that this year as well. That's all old stuff, but my favorite repair of this video was reviving the OP1. Something that seems so new and crisp and clean, and it's expensive and nice, you know what I mean? People take care of them when they get them. To get one that was in shambles, that was in like horrible shape, it sort of subverts how we see the OP1. That's at least how I was seeing it. And I love that, you know? I mentioned all this old gear. It's had time to be not cared for. It's had time to get lost in a garage, you know? So when a D50 shows up and, the switches don't work, or it hasn't been cared for, you know, it's like, yeah, that happens. But an OP1, like, you have to try and not take care of it for it to be that bad this soon. So I love that it happened. I love that I got an opportunity to do something that seems almost unlikely. And that was right before the OP1 Field got announced. So even then, people were like, oh, this is way too expensive. So I love the chance to show it off, period. I'm glad that I got to try the OP1, and I still have it. But I'm glad that I got to make it a little cheaper for myself, which when I sell it now, especially because of the Field, I'm probably just going to break even. But it doesn't matter. I have an outline focused just on the original recipe, OP1. And it's really more philosophical than it is anything. But that outline does exist in part, and that video will probably happen this year as well. Another thing you might have noticed, there's more Eurorack coverage than there had been in the past. And I say it every video, I need to figure out what it looks like for me. I think I'm coming closer. What I know for sure, a video that's just about a specific module, just a walkthrough of what one thing does, doesn't really work for me unless I've got a good idea, or more importantly, or more likely, I have an idea that covers more than one module, and I use a module to demonstrate that technique or that implementation of something. Like building a better mono, like get this instead of maths. That's exactly what I was trying to do. I need an idea that lets me talk about a module or a series of modules, or the sort of technical philosophy around Eurorack, which is what's really started to fascinate me. And what's coming next in that line of ideas is where to go after semi-modular. So we have so many cool self-contained semi-modular monosynths, which are popular and often affordable. What do you do after that? What's the right way to implement it in a case or with other units? And that's sort of the idea for that, right? I'm sure there's tons of people who have semi-modular and want to grow from it, or they bought into the idea that that's why you get semi-modular, because that's your introduction to Eurorack. But what does that look like? What do those first steps, starting from semi-modular, look like? And I hope to cover that pretty soon as well. I feel like I'm giving you guys some, like, it's almost like spoilers. You know what I mean? Like, this is what's going to come. But it's not a secret. Like, and I want you to know what's coming so you can look forward to it. Or if you have a question, or if it seems really relevant to you, tell me. Or if you know what I mean? Just comments all the time for everything. And sort of similar to Eurorack, you've probably noticed maybe I do a fair share of pedals, and pedals that aren't necessarily specific to synthesizer stuff. I think of the microcosm as something that like all the synth guys have and have shown off. But I talked about Gen Loss, which again, a lot of synth guys did that too. I talked about the RE202. I did the Synthesis Guide to Guitar Pedals, which is because that's my favorite thing to talk about. I think pedals are great. I do think I'm going to stop doing the Synthesis Guide to Guitar Pedals as I was. Response was good, but views were bad. And it's not even like views were bad initially and they've continued to get stuff. That's just not happening with those. So I think I need a better idea. I need a hookier idea for those to survive on YouTube the way I want them to survive. So I'm still going to talk about those things, just maybe in a different format, not so, divided Dewey Decimal System style. Here's modulation, here's distortion, here's reverb and stuff. So I think I might still do delay and reverb because I think that's very clickable in and of itself. But no promises there. You will see more pedals, though, even pretty soon. You will see more pedals. What else did I write down? Super Booth. I went to Super Booth. Super proud to have done that. I sold a guitar to afford it. I was unemployed at the time. But this year, it's not going to be like total crisis mode. I'm still going to get a bullshit cheap flight because that's just the way my brain works. I can't help myself but do that. I'm definitely going to go this year is what I'm saying. NobCon too. I do NobCon every year that I can, and I plan on doing it this coming year as well. Okay, I'm going to sneak the Burnout conversation in now. Oh, everybody gets one. Every YouTuber gets to talk about how tired they are. But, you know, it's true. YouTube is exhausting. And it gets to me too. It got to me too. So if you're a dedicated jorbivore, if you're a regular viewer, you would have noticed I slowed down. Part of that was like, of course, if you look far enough back, I got the full-time job again. But even more recently, I really slowed down, and that's on purpose. I had time off around Thanksgiving and Christmas. I went home to my parents' place. They're in another state, and I intentionally didn't bring anything. I was just embracing it as like a 2-part break. And I also realized that, Gabe Miller just said this in his end-of-the-year video, he's not watching movies anymore. He stopped watching movies. And I realized I was at that point, too, at some point during this year. I hadn't been watching movies or playing video games or been DJing or even going to concerts. Like all these things that I love and like make my life what it is, I wasn't doing because I was just working on YouTube so much. And you know, I've never been extremely consistent, but I did like a very intentional rebalance. Less frequent videos, but that's what I needed coming into this last, I guess, quarter, maybe half of the year. More social life, more media consumption, less YouTube grind. And I'm feeling a bit better, but I also feel guilty while I do those things sometimes, you know what I mean? Because I could be down here working on this, but moving forward, what's the schedule going to be? I'm not going to force myself to do anything. I'm aiming for 1 week. I always have been, but if something pushes that back, I'm going to let it push it back. And I'm trying to not feel bad about that anymore, because it takes time to hang out with my friends and see movies and go to concerts and prep DJ sets. I have a DJ set tonight. For New Year's even. So there you go. That's really it. I got to the point where I realized YouTube was taking me away from other things I enjoyed. I started doing more of the things I enjoyed, and I feel better. Can you believe that? But that's it. The Burnout conversation is completed. Okay, I won't shout out everybody I met through the YouTube thing, but I worked with a couple other creators this year. I met a bunch of people at KnobCon, but I have to highlight specifically Bo Beats, and the Midlife Synthesis. They've been great. We have a little group chat. We chat all the time. To bounce ideas off each other and make sure companies are treating us fairly. And that's been like the strongest resource I've had in doing this thing so sincerely in the last year. Both of them in a lot of ways are beyond me in their growth. And so to be able to say, hey, did you guys deal with this at this point? Did you guys deal with this at this point? It's a totally unique resource to have access to. So really, really appreciative for both of them. And I have to mention Emily Hopkins. If you guys don't know her, she's a harp player, a harpist who does a bunch of guitar pedal demos and videos and coverage of all sorts of stuff. That's fresh, just that in of itself. How about pedals with harp? And she's very, very talented, and I just love what she does. And she does the channel in tandem with her partner Russ. And I was in their end of the year video, the Emmas. It was like an award show. Check it out if you haven't. They're wonderful. Check them out if you haven't seen their stuff. They're just so wonderful. They're both kind. When we were working together, they were both kind. Afterward, I love working with people who like what they're doing and are happy to be doing it, and those people are no exception. This already feels way long for what I want it to be. Okay, so I'm shortening the gear that I'm selling part into just bullet points, and I have them written down. I have way too much shit. Things keep showing up, but I'm literally running out of space. I need another set of shelves or something, or I need a really, really clean house. That's what I'm going to do as we come to into the new year. I have 2 broken ESQ1s that I don't think I'll be able to fix. Those I am selling. I have the Rhodes piano bass that is an amazing, special, historically interesting thing. I love the era it represents. That video is sincerely what I'm most proud of in this last year, but I don't need it at all. I'm going to sell it. The Omnichord, showed it off. I've never picked it up since. I'm selling it. I have the Nifty Keys and the Waldorf KB37. They're both Eurorack keyboard cases, and I like that format, but those are way too similar for me to keep them both, especially when they're both big. I'm going to figure out which one fits my needs better, and the other one I will be selling. I'm going to do a sound effect every time I say selling. The SP303, I'm going to sell it and use what I make off of it to buy an SP404. So I'm selling. The OP1, I don't use it enough, even though it's very, very cool. So I'm going to cover it, and then I will be selling. The D50, it's fixed now. Maybe a few other buttons need to be worked on, but once I cover it, I have the boutique module. And the boutique module, to me, for the D50, is only an improvement. It doesn't have the polyphony problems of the other ones. So once I cover the D50, the original recipe D50, I will be selling it. And the JX8P, if I can find a good deal on the programmer, I might have to sit down and reevaluate. But as of now, I just don't find myself reaching for it. So I will be selling. But that's it. I'm looking around the room. I just have a shitload of pedals. I should probably get rid of some. And I have some small like utility things that I don't ever use, and I might as well just give to buddies. But that's pretty much it. I got some Eurorack to clear out too, but I'm not going to go through all that. That's everything I can think of. If you have something that I covered this year that I didn't say, yes, I'm selling, and you haven't seen it behind me or whatever, just ask in the comments and I'll let you know what I'm doing with it. Let's look forward now, okay? Even though I sort of told you, like, as we were going through what we were going to see more of, the very immediate, like, next few videos, I've got work started on a few things. But assuming there's no changes, you're going to see the Poly in play very soon, which I really, really have enjoyed so far. The Kinetone Ribbons, which is a really, really cool lo-fi pedal. I've got some Eurorack stuff that's going to be in that video, where to move after semi-modular. And then I've got two things that I have non-disclosure agreements for, so I'm not going to tell you what they are. But they're both very, very cool. So there you go. That's it. That's Gear and Review 22. I've got to edit this quick, and then I'm going to get ready for my DJ set tonight. Hope you guys had a good year. I wish you the best of luck as we cross over into 2023. Hope you reach your goals. I hope you make some music, and I hope you love your gear. I know I will. So there you go. My name's Shorb. I love gear. Look forward to what's coming from me, what's coming for the channel, and all that. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you soon.